Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brianna DeBose. I am your host for the Black Women in Sports series at the Black Sports Network. We are excited today. We have Jashell Mitchell. She is the NFL football operations and engagement. She does player engagement. She currently is working on her doctorate, which I saw. Congratulations. She is Bethune-Cookman 40 under 40. Jashell, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Thank you for coming on to the network. We are honored to have you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I appreciate it and looking forward to speaking with you guys today.
Absolutely. Now, to start this interview off, what are 3 words that describe Jashell Mitchell?
Passionate, authentic, and I would definitely say determined.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now we have to get some context into these big words that describe you. Please tell us more. Why did you choose those words?
Because coming from Flint, Michigan, out the gate, we've come through a struggle. At the same time, I turned that struggle into perseverance and positive mindset. So, we're considered a blue-collar town, blue-collar mentality. So I've taken that concept throughout my athletic career, my academic career, as well as my professional life. So that's the gist of all 3 put together of that mindset, of that blue collar mentality.
I love that. Now you're with the NFL. You're doing some fantastic work, and you have had a professional career, predominantly in higher education. Can you tell us more about what you're doing with the NFL and why that work is so significant?
Well, I started off in the NFL in 2018. I started as the manager of diversity and inclusion for football operations, which consisted of our relationship with our HBCUs, our Women in Football programming, as well as our NFL Experience program, which is where students had professional development opportunities at the Super Bowl, Pro Bowl draft and the combine. So it was a great opportunity for not only for me to engage with our HBCU space, which I am an alum, again, within University, but it helped that dialogue and helped students gain access and opportunity at the NFL. So that was an awesome opportunity. I have since advanced to the player engagement unit, which where we focus on continuing education off the field programming, life after sports, for the not only the active players, but also the NFL legends. So it's a great time to learn to get to know the players and their hearts, dreams, and desires, business endeavors, entrepreneurship, and various things. So it's great to see that, you guys see the on the field in the season, but we see off the field, how do I advance myself, my career, my family life.
Absolutely. I love that because eventually, you have to retire. Eventually.
Yes, eventually.
Eventually it will be done.
Oh, yes. Yeah. By decision, walk off on your own. Or, like I said, the lifespan of an NFL player is, usually now 2 to 3, maybe 3 to 5 years.
Absolutely.
So you definitely have to come in with a plan.
You really do. I mean, coming from the college level, it's 99% of athletes don't go on to play professional sports. And that's, even a smaller percentage of people that get to the NFL.
Exactly.
Now, when you talk about that transition, it's huge, which we'll get into a little bit later. But what made you pivot into professional sports? I'm so fascinated because you have quite a career in higher education, which I love. And you basically pivoted into professional sports these last couple of years. What made you do that?
Well, it wasn't necessarily, when they say when you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So when you want to be the best, join the best.
Absolutely.
So what better way than join the most coveted professional sports outside of, soccer, European, soccer, so to speak, or European football, however you want to claim it. And it was just a call. It was a given. I served like you said, 15 years in the collegiate space in various roles and opportunities. And I was invited actually by the NFL to the Women's Careers in Football Forum, which is run by the awesome Sam Rappaport, who is doing amazing things at the NFL League office. So I went out to Phoenix, networked, shook hands, kissed baby, stayed in contact, volunteered, emailed, stayed in the know of what was going on. And, they called me. Again, It was a restructure in the NFL League office within football operations, focusing on our relationship with the unit that I previously stated for our HBCU relationships, women in football, and our NFL experience program. They reached out, said, hey, we have a new role. Take a look. Let us know if you're interested. I read it over, prayed about it, talked about my family. And, there I went.
Wow. I love that. Oh, yeah. I love the ability to pivot deeper into your passion per se, I think that's amazing. Yeah. And it seems like it's been seamless. Building. Absolutely.
It's relationship building, because you never know, it may not be when you want it to be, but those relationships that you meet and maintain, they may not be actively fruitful in your timing, but in God's timing, it'll come around. Just stay the course and, stay true to the process, and things will work out.
Absolutely. Like, for sure. It's all in the timing. It's all in the timing. Now, you speak so passionately about the work that you do, and I love that. I can hear it in your voice. I can see it. What brings you the most fulfillment about the work that you do, and how have you had to kind of tailor the work that you do to meet players' needs, but do it virtually, because we are in this crazy landscape right now?
Awesome. No, I'm very passionate about what I do. I enjoy it. Like I said, to have access and support of a place that I love, which is within Cooking University and the HBCU community. I consider myself of, curating the culture, at the NFL level is how I view it. But Absolutely. At the same time, making sure that we're not forgot about. Everybody loves, the PWIs, the Power Fives, and the Ivy Leagues. At the same time, our HBCUs produce as well. So I'm very intentional in identifying access and opportunity for that space. So for me, having access to be able to help over 20 HBCU students in various areas and different things that we've done, be it the HBCU Careers in Football Forum, the Women's Careers in Football Forum, our NFL Experience program. So many students have either got jobs at an NFL team, got jobs at a collegiate athletic department, or in various sports related kind of spaces. So to be able to help connect those relationships for those opportunities for students has been, a godsend for me to say, hey, you're in the right place to help with the right things. Now, as far as our players, it's so fruitful to see not only, the access that they have and kind of seeing what their desires are as far as post-playing career.
Absolutely.
Or, how to advance their family. We have significant other programming as well. So it's not just the players, it's the family. So there's quite a bit of resources that we have that we provide to the players. Outside looking in, and depending on the news and media, you would think that we don't, but we do. But it also takes an active participation of the players to incorporate themselves in it, to take heed to the resources that we provide or not have access to for them. So it's very fruitful. I enjoy it. I love it. And to see, these young people take advantage of their lives and their careers and be fruitful, and then to give back in the same manner that you received. That's what it's about for me in the role that I play at the NFL League office.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned, how HBCUs produce fantastic leaders like yourself. And honestly, I see a pendulum, swinging back. I see it. With athlete commitments. I see it with, who was it? Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Coach Prime.
Coach Prime, who's going to make his debut this year. And the whole world is, very, very excited to see that. But, a lot of people don't necessarily think about it, but HBCUs were producing athletes in the first place, like originally before anybody else, because those were the options that we had to go to school. And, obviously when things kind of shifted and PWIs were like, oh, we can, take you. It just,
and it's amazing that you say that too, because I work with Doug Williams and Shaq Harris from Grambling State University with the Black College Football Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So for me as a sports junkie, as you want to call it, working with those type of guys who have paved the way, within the HBCU space, within the NFL Hall of Fame space, and to actually work with these guys, like it's mind blowing. Sometimes I have to pinch myself, but at the same time, it's a reality check too, to like, hey, you're supposed to be here.
Absolutely. You are. I hope you have no imposter syndrome, because you have had quite a career and you deserve to be where you are now. That's all I'm saying. I did my research. I'm like, oh yeah. Speaking of a heck of a career, you are working full time and you are also a doctoral student, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know how you did it. I just finished grad school and I can't even imagine. It's like you're drowned. Like you feel like you're just like, okay, my head's above water. I'm working and going to school, Now you're doing it full time in a high impact job. And, please tell us, like, what issues are you addressing with your research? I'm fascinated, would love to know, as a fellow, like, academic person.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Again, God's grace and mercy, first and foremost. He's keeping me, my mind, my heart, my body, and my spirit to do what I do. I am in the Global Sport Leadership Program, which is an EDD at East Tennessee State University. Amazing program led by Dr. Johnston and his team over there at ETSU. It is a 3-year program. We travel abroad each spring. Last couple of years, we went to Germany, Amsterdam. It's crazy. So it's an awesome program that's focused on the business of sports. So that was the attraction to it. So it's definitely going to advance and help me further my career, as people be like, okay, well, where else you got to go? You've already in the NFL. So at the same time, from a long-term perspective, I see myself, in a community sector, helping youth in sport recreation. So it's definitely an added value, just in case I want to, go in the classroom, be a sports management professor, or, something back at Bethune-Cookman, who knows?
Absolutely.
God's order. So just trying to prepare myself, because I've always had the mindset, I want to be prepared educationally and through experience to take away that we like her, but we wish she had this. We like her, but we wish she had this experience. We like her, but we wish she had this degree. So I'm eliminating all the excuses. So when I do want to go there, I just go and take what I want.
I love that, because, too many times Black women, you might have everything besides that one little thing for them to change their mind, which happens way too often. So you're literally going to have the trifecta. You have the experience, you're going to have the research, you're going to have the academia, you're going to have everything. And I love that. Now, you mentioned that you may want to teach down the line, which I really like as well.
Especially in the sports management program, because through the NFL's HBCU Careers in Football Forum, what we do is we introduce those students who are highly regarded and nominated by their campus institution. So they're either their university president, their director of athletics, their associate AD for academic support. Someone nominates them to be here. So it's just like it's random, and they are introduced to different careers within professional and collegiate sports to say, hey, you can be in professional and collegiate sports without being a player, without being a coach. We need lawyers, we need accountants, human resource directors, marketing directors, social media content. Like it's careers beyond careers outside of coaching and playing that we introduce the students to. So it's a great opportunity for us to not only engage, but let you know, like, hey, the building has to run. It has to, checks have to be cut. Policies and procedures have to be made. There has to be human resources representatives, accountants, lawyers. So you have access to other things, groundskeeper, like the field ain't pretty on its own. So it's definitely an opportunity for students to understand and know there's plenty of careers. Just kind of have a focused laser thought process on how you can incorporate yourself of what moves you to that space.
Absolutely. That's definitely something that I tell my athletes that I get to mentor now, that are still playing. I'm just like, you don't have to play your entire life. There are other options. You have options. There are just so many different things. You want to be around sports? Cool. You can do the data analytics. You can be the head coach. You can be on staff. You can do player engagement. You can be, a community partner.
The travel coordinator.
Honestly,
lawyer.
There's so much stuff. And, I feel like athletes don't necessarily know that. They're thinking about one thing.
Correct.
I know, when I was playing, you're thinking about one thing and it's like just that. But thinking broader and saying, oh, I can do this and save my body, save my knees, which is amazing.
And the early practice time.
Absolutely, which I do not miss at all. No early conditioning, no early practice, no 5, 6 workouts a day. No, ma'am. No, thank you.
Yes.
But, to kind of pivot a little bit, I have to check in, this past year has been a lot. 2020, to say the least, was just woo. It was, we had the pandemic, we've had social injustices, the election, physically, emotionally, spiritually. How are you doing? What drives you to get through your day despite all that's going on around you? We're getting back to a sense of normalcy per se, slowly but surely. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but what drives you to get through your day and continue to pursue your passions?
Oh my gosh, my day definitely consists of continued prayer. The pandemic hasn't been easy for me or my family. My dad did contact COVID last spring. So that was a life-changing moment for me. I was just prayerful and blessed that I was here in Michigan to assist with his recovery and not in New York at that particular time. So I thank God for that, of being here.
For sure.
For me, from a mental health space, taking care of my dad with COVID, working full time, being in school, working remote, it was just a lot going on. So I definitely took the time to be realistic with myself through our total wellness program, through Dr. Nilampty at the NFL League office. I reached out to a mental health professional.
That's fantastic.
Just to check in. Actually have a call later this evening. So definitely, like we tell our athletes, eliminate the stigma. So it wasn't suicidal thoughts, but it was just more of like, hey, let's check in. It's okay to be having a full mind. You're a doctoral student. You're full-time.
Absolutely.
Taking care of your parents. So it was just a lot going on in life. And then I was recently engaged in May. So it was just,
I was
on so many pivots. It was just like, Lord help me. So my therapist has been awesome in my transition to, comfortable and mental health representative of what that looks like, and practicing what we preach to the athletes and practicing it myself.
I love all of that. I love all of it. I am an advocate for mental health. I repeat, I am an advocate for mental health, especially within, the Black community. Like you said, there's a stigma. And it shouldn't be, because literally you don't have to have extreme behaviors just to want to talk to someone, just to want to vent. I want to vent. I don't want to vent to my friends today because I want to go to therapy, and maybe I want to mention something that my friends did that got on my nerves. So it's like simple stuff, you just want to vent. You want to be able to have someone there for you to help you navigate the spaces and navigate those issues that are within that you might not want to share with everyone else, with your partner or with your family or whatever. I'm so happy that, your dad recovered from COVID. So that is huge. I'm definitely happy about that because, like I said, this past year has been a lot. So, definitely appreciate you saying that, because so many people have these misconceptions. And I'm like, no, if you're going through a lot, grab a therapist completely and grab the right one for you.
Exactly. It's crazy because at the NFL office, we have access to so many resources through our insurance, through our health benefits. And what do I look like having access to some things that we advocate and don't use it? That's insane. So I took an active approach to be sure I was a part of that, of supporting not only my family, myself, but just being healthy, from from within.
Absolutely. Oh, you're good.
Excuse me.
No problem. Now, speaking of the NFL, we've been speaking about the NFL this entire time, but in this particular light, this year alone, we've seen so many things from the NFL, so many new initiatives. Now, I personally know like a lot of this because I'm in the sports world. I'm checking the news. I'm like, the NFL did that. Roger Goodell said what? But now I have to ask you, because you are physically there. Now, how has the NFL prioritized social justice and equity this year with players, and what new things are to come in 2021? Because you all have been doing some phenomenal work. I've loved to see it. Honestly, it's been a long time coming, if I do say so myself. Now, please tell the people what's been going on up there.
No, definitely. It's a concerted effort, hand in hand, between Roger and Troy. We have very, very active leadership. Our Inspire Change group does amazing things through Candace Hickson and her team in the social initiatives, as well as our various relationships with various organizations that we work with. So it is an active approach to, having that not only internal dialogue, but our community dialogue, because it's not just about games and touchdowns and field goals. So there is an active approach through communication with the Players Coalition, our Inspire Change group, and our social responsibility group. So there's some amazing things that are being done and more to come, in due time. Of course, we never move at the fans or the media's pace. At the same time, it's a lot of initiatives that you may or may not know that we're a part of.
Absolutely.
So at the same time, we take the bumps and the bruises as we do. At the same time, we know, and our players and our teams know, how we take an active approach, not only in some of the players and the coaches and the team's efforts, but our NFL league office efforts as well. So we're behind quite a bit, of being active in our community through our teams, Players Coalition, social responsibility, and our Inspire Change unit. So we're definitely revving some things up, and it's more to come.
Absolutely. I think that's you hit it on the nail, right? People are so quick to troll on social media, but I'm like, do you know what's going on behind the scenes? Do you know what every team is doing in their community? Do you know what the league office is doing? So you got to do the research before you want to go and voice your opinion.
Before you speak.
Absolutely. But people aren't doing that. People aren't doing that. People just want to just throw anything out there. So I appreciate you saying that. I hope everyone who's listening was able to receive it and heard it, because there's a lot of great things coming down the pike for the NFL, and I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I love to see it. And I think it's going to be transformative, especially as the NFL expands. So kind of pivoting again. Now, back to you. This interview is going to air during Women's History Month, a month that oftentimes does not highlight Black women enough and the beautiful intersections that we have to offer. When you think of celebrating Women's History Month, what stands out to you in your mind that is part of our history that you can relate to?
For me, it's the fact that we've been here. This isn't new. We appreciate the month, but at the same time, it's 365 in our world.
Absolutely.
So just being a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and the incorporation of, Sora Fudge and President Biden's cabinet, and various other representatives too. What Black women, we're killing it. We're killing it. Been killing it. Vice President, So it's so many things we can go on and on and on about and who it could be or should be. At the same time, we're walking the walk.
Absolutely.
And it's like we've been here. We've helped build this country, and it's definitely always had a woman's touch. Is just now being visualized and magnified in a different way. But we've been here and we've been boots to the ground, and I'm just appreciative of the recognition that all of these women are receiving in various capacities in which they serve. So I'm very honored to be a part of that.
Absolutely. I love that. I think you hit a lot of different points there, but within, our landscape as a country right now, we're finally seeing more women in power roles. And I love to see it because it represents the diversity and the inclusiveness that we want to be, that we're striving for, that the equity. I mean, like 50% of the population is women. Like we should have some type of say into some of this stuff, into some of this policy, into, how we operate as a country. And I'm happy to see that it's starting to be more reflective of what, we actually look like as a country.
No question.
Absolutely. Now, my last question for you before we get into some quick fire questions is, what do you want your own legacy to be? You have your hand in quite a few different things, and you can do a lot with, what you're working with currently. But, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, for me, I want my legacy to be known as a servant leader, regardless of my, corporate job, the degrees that I have, the places that I've been. I want to be known as a very authentic person, with, if she gave her word was when her word was bond, and so many times some people get in certain positions and they forget to lift as they climb. So I'm always intentional in reaching out and pulling forward either, some young lady or some student or, some woman of color in various capacities in the things that I do and I can control. So some of the things that I'm in control with at the NFL league office, I always, look for an intern or a job shadow or a student that could benefit from that experience, even if it is 1 day or 2 day or whatever. So I'm intentional. So I wanted to be a servant leader who was very intentional in helping others.
I love it. I love it. Bringing people up with you. I think that's powerful. Because a lot of people elevate and they're like, who who are you talking about? You want me to
talk to my assistant?
Right.
Leave a message.
Not as accessible. And that's something that I definitely strive for as well, because it's like, you didn't get here on your own. Somebody helped you along the way, and you should definitely pay it forward because it pays off. And you never know, that person that you were mentoring or gave that opportunity may give you your next opportunity.
Hello. No question. Mentorship.
It's crazy when it goes full circle.
Vital.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's get into some quick fire questions. It's this or that format based on this interview.
Okay.
All right. So, where's your favorite place I forgot to tell you. You have to answer with one sentence or less or one word or less.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm on the hot seat.
Yes, you are. Where's your favorite place to live?
Oh my gosh. Whew. I love warm weather, so I'll have to say Florida.
Okay. I'm missing the warm weather too right now.
Oh yeah.
Who's your favorite NFL team?
Don't have a favorite team. I have favorite players, so I make my own little team.
Okay. All right. Well, list off the favorite players then.
Well, a couple of favorite players, of course. I'm going to go to HBCU route. Darius Leonard, he was our defensive player of the year a year or two ago. Tariq Cohen tearing it up in Chicago before he, fortunately got injured. Actually my time at North Carolina Central University, two of my football student athletes just won the Super Bowl, and Ryan Smith and Nick Leverett
Wow.
of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
just little sprinkles of support, with various players who I enjoy watching and enjoy their kind of leadership on the field to advance the game.
Absolutely. Now, who's your favorite female athlete?
Oh my gosh, Cynthia Cooper.
Oh,
Cynthia Cooper. She was
classic.
a firecracker. I was a women's basketball student athlete. So coming up,
Same.
Cynthia Cooper was, Houston, I believe, was on their second championship when I graduated high school. So Cynthia Cooper was my go-to, and then eventually Candace Parker.
Oh, yes. Yes, Candace just got traded. Oh, I can't believe she left.
Well, she went home. She went back to the Chi.
I know. It was probably her long-term plan anyway, to eventually kind of get home.
Always go home. Always go home.
At least
like home.
At least for a season, like how Dwayne Wade did it. He was like, this was great. Now I'm going back.
Exactly.
I'm going back to some warm
weather.
Absolutely. What is the favorite place that you've traveled?
Oh my gosh. I would have to say Italy. When I was at the University of Arizona, we went to Italy for like 2 weeks on a basketball traveler's trip. My coach was Italian, so we went over there for 2 weeks, visited different places, Jashell, Rome, Milan, we went to the Vatican, Lord's sake. So it was those type of things that you see in history books. Seeing in person was life-changing. So I would definitely say our trip to Italy is still at the top.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. What is a initiative that you really care about?
Initiative that I care about, I definitely say women in sports. Like I said, Sam Rappaport is doing a hell of a job at the league office. And like I said, I want to say 2, maybe 3 women that have come through the Women's Careers in Football Forum, just won a Super Bowl as well. So it's so many women, Jennifer King, Lori Locust, you have Sally Clavell out of the 49ers. So to see those women a part of teams and in impactful roles that have come through that program has been amazing. So I would definitely say our Women's Careers in Football Forum. And of course, the HBCU Careers in Football Forum, because like I said, over 20 students making an impact.
Absolutely.
In sports. So
I love
those 2 are my favorite.
I love it. Now, what is the first thing that you're doing when COVID is officially over? Like when we can actually go outside with no mask, just be out there, breathing the air with people.
Well, I definitely say, I enjoy living here in Michigan because we have so many beautiful parks and lakes that I can go to that doesn't constitute having a mask or walking around because other people aren't really near you. But I would definitely, change the script to warm weather and say travel internationally. I've always wanted to visit Turks and Caicos and Trinidad and Tobago. So I look forward to doing some traveling once we don't have as many restrictions to exit or enter into the United States. So I'll definitely say travel internationally.
Absolutely. Hands down. Like, let me get to some warm weather, get to experience some new culture. Like, let's do it. My last question for you is, what's the best piece of advice that you have ever gotten? It's a 2-parter, so I guess you can answer a little longer. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten? And do you have any advice for young women coming behind you?
Oh, yeah. Best piece of advice, I would definitely say is, through your career, educationally, personally, or professionally, just always have that blue collar mentality. It goes back to that Flint, Michigan theme that we have here from a Flintstone perspective, but also know, we already know as women, and especially women of color, you got to work twice as hard to get half. So never forget that you're not the only one trying to be the only one. You're not the only one looking for that career, or that job, or, that opportunity, or you're not the only one emailing and reaching out to that executive that you desire to have time with. So
for sure,
don't forget you're not the only one trying to be the only one.
Absolutely. Was that the best piece of advice that you've gotten, or was that the advice that you'd give to young women, or was that was just everything?
It was a mixture.
It was a mix.
I keep that in mind too.
Absolutely.
And I definitely want to pass that on, but definitely piece of advice. Your network and your relationships are key to your advancement in various areas. You can't do it by yourself. You're going to need a board of champions, a board of supporters. So definitely stretch yourself. You know, if it takes, you know, volunteering or internships or, you know, different things that you may have to do, sacrifice, you know, people forget the sacrifice part, you know, so definitely, you know, reach out, pull forward. Don't forget the sacrifice, but also build your network and your relationships to advance your career.
Absolutely. I love it. And there we have it. You've had Jashell Mitchell, who has given some fantastic advice, shared her experience at the NFL, and now is also, well, in tandem, doctoral student. Just the list goes on. The sky is the limit. Woo! Yes, celebrating early. I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today at the Black Sports Network. And, you know, we're so excited to air this and be able to share with people everything that you've shared with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me and keep up the great work.
Absolutely. I'm going to hit this.